You've probably spent an entire weekend cleaning your home and watched it look exactly the same by Tuesday. Swiss homes don't have that problem, and it's not because Swiss people clean more. They've built a system that stops mess from compounding in the first place, and once you understand how it works, you'll never approach cleaning the same way again. The system behind it starts with a word you've probably never heard: putztag. It translates roughly as cleaning day. One single, non-negotiable block of time set aside each week to handle the whole house. Not a little bit on Monday, a little bit on Thursday, a frantic catch-up on Sunday. One session, done. And here's what makes that counterintuitive. It sounds like more work, but it's actually less. When you clean in scattered bursts, you're constantly restarting, reassessing the mess, regathering your supplies, rebuilding momentum. You pay a mental tax every single time. Putztag eliminates that tax. You show up once, you're already in the mindset, and you move through the space with a kind of focused efficiency that scattered daily tidying can never match. But Putztag only works because of the philosophy underneath it. And that philosophy is this: the Swiss don't wait for things to get dirty. They clean at the threshold, right before buildup begins, not after it's already compounded. Think about what you're actually fighting when you deep clean a bathroom that's been ignored for 3 weeks. You're not just cleaning grime, you're fighting calcified soap scum, water stains that have had time to set, mildew that's started spreading. That's not a cleaning job anymore, that's a restoration project. The Swiss approach sidesteps that entirely. A quick wipe down of the sink and faucet before the mineral deposits have a chance to harden takes about 40 seconds. Waiting until you can visibly see the buildup, that same job takes 10 minutes and actual elbow grease. The effort isn't proportional, it's exponential. The longer you wait, the harder the work becomes, and not by a little. This is what clean before it gets dirty actually means in practice. It's not about obsessive tidiness, it's about catching entropy early when it's still cheap to reverse. Now here's where most people's cleaning routines quietly fall apart, and it's not their habits, it's their cabinet. Open the average cleaning cabinet and you'll find a spray for the kitchen, a different spray for the bathroom, a separate one for glass, one for stainless steel, one for wood, and a few mystery bottles that have been there so long you've forgotten what they're for. All of that variety doesn't make you a better cleaner, it makes you slower. Every time you reach for a product, you're making a small decision. Which one? Is this the right surface? Do I need gloves for this one? That decision fatigue adds up, and it's one of the hidden reasons cleaning feels so exhausting before you've even started. Swiss households typically run on 1 or 2 multi-surface products. That's it. One product means no hesitation, no cross-referencing, no switching bottles mid-room. You pick it up, you use it, you move on. The simplicity isn't laziness, it's engineering. Fewer variables means faster execution, and faster execution means you actually finish. So step back and look at what the Swiss have actually built here. Putztag gives cleaning a defined container. One session, not a permanent background anxiety. The threshold principle means that session never becomes a marathon because the mess never gets the chance to compound. And the minimal product approach removes every friction point that makes you put it off in the first place. They don't clean more. They've designed a system where the conditions for serious buildup almost never arise. That's the whole secret. And now that you understand why it works, the next step is installing it in your own home, room by room, exactly the way the Swiss do it. Does your cleaning routine look more like scattered daily bursts, or have you ever tried blocking out one dedicated session like Putztag? Drop your answer in the comments below. Now let's talk about how to actually build this system into your home, room by room. That last point, about the minimal product cabinet, is exactly where the Swiss system earns its reputation. Because now that you understand why the philosophy works, here's how you actually run it, room by room, in your own home. The Swiss sequence is non-negotiable, and it's the part most people get completely backwards. Always top to bottom, always dry before wet. You dust the shelf before you wipe the countertop below it. You wipe the countertop before you mop the floor. The logic is obvious once you hear it. Gravity exists and dust falls. If you mop the floor first and then dust the shelf, you've just mopped twice. Every surface you clean before the one above it is a surface you'll have to redo. The Swiss don't redo surfaces. They move through a room once in the right order, and they're finished. The same logic applies to dry before wet. A dry microfiber cloth pulls light dust and loose debris off a surface efficiently. But for most surfaces, a lightly dampened microfiber cloth actually captures particles more thoroughly. Use dry first for loose debris, then follow with a barely damp cloth for a streak-free finish. So you dry wipe first, then follow with a lightly damp cloth for anything that actually needs it. And here's the part that should make your cleaning cabinet feel embarrassing. A damp microfiber cloth handles the vast majority of household surfaces without any product at all. No spray, no chemical, no label to read. Just water, friction, and a good cloth. That's why Swiss households run on dramatically fewer cleaning products than the average home. It's not frugality, it's that they've figured out the product is usually unnecessary. Now, putztag handles the weekly deep work, but the Swiss also practice a daily habit that keeps putztag from ever becoming a 4-hour ordeal. Roughly 10 minutes at the end of each day to return the home to a neutral state. Dishes off the counter, cushions straightened, surfaces cleared, nothing deep, nothing intensive. Just a deliberate 10-minute pass that prevents small disorder from snowballing overnight into the kind of chaos that makes your weekly session feel like an excavation. Think of it as maintenance on the system, not a second cleaning session. The goal isn't a spotless home at 10 o'clock at night. The goal is that tomorrow morning the entropy hasn't compounded while you were asleep. There's one more piece, and it's the one that quietly eliminates the open-ended exhaustion most people feel when they clean. Swiss cleaning culture has a deeply ingrained concept of a defined endpoint, a standard the space has to meet before you stop, not a feeling. It comes, in part, from the Swiss apartment handover tradition, where a tenant returning a property must meet a specific, inspectable standard of cleanliness. You're not done when you feel like stopping. You're done when the space meets the standard. That distinction matters more than it sounds. When cleaning has no defined finish line, your brain treats it as an infinite task, and infinite tasks produce dread. When the finish line is concrete and visible, the session has a shape. You can see the end from the beginning, and that makes starting dramatically easier. Put it all together, and here's what you actually have. Putztag gives the work a container. The threshold mindset ensures the container never overflows. Top to bottom, dry to wet sequencing means you move through each room once and don't backtrack. The microfiber first approach strips out the product clutter that slows you down. The daily reset window keeps the baseline stable between sessions, and the defined endpoint tells you clearly when you're done. Your home doesn't stay clean because you're working harder. It stays clean because the system removes every condition that lets mess compound in the first place. That's the Swiss trick, and it was never really about cleaning at all. It was about building a structure so efficient that serious disorder almost never gets the chance to take hold. Subscribe for more systems like this, and watch the next video.